The Joel Fernandez Show is a show for manifestors, truthers, starseeds, and Christic alchemists who have seen through this illusion and are now shining their light for everybody to see in order to create the earth that we know that we actually deserve to live in. Dope! I gotta go! I'm working on the show! And welcome back to another episode of The Joel Fernandez Show. I'm your host, Joel Fernandez, and today I want to share some of this. Got some Selenite, which is a very interesting stone. I even got some orange Selenite. This is a standard satin spar variety, but it even comes in rosette-shaped varieties like desert rose. And the interesting thing is that this is actually gypsum. It's actually like basically what you make drywall out of. But this is in its crystal variety, and actually the crystals, some of the largest crystals in the world are those of the selenite variety. The largest crystal was found in Mexico, and it was 12 meters long and weighed 55 tons. 55 tons. And it's interesting because selenite, while its name, selenite, comes from the Greek word selene, which means moon, there's interestingly almost no selenium in this because it's made out of gypsum. And I actually have all kinds of these things. This is an excellent stone for grounding. I even have a slab that I keep at my computer and I just rest my feet on it. It just acts as a grounding mechanism to discharge all the energy. And I even keep these towers around by my computer station. I have loads of selenite crystals, including selenite pyramids, obelisks, selenite wands, and a very interesting characteristic of selenite is that it has this optical illusion. The fibers that, if you actually look closely, you can see that there are fibers running down this. Those fibers act as optic fibers, and it can actually be used to transmit pictures over long distances just because of the fibrous optic nature of this mineral. It's very good at directing energy, kind of like quartz, but it's a very motherly, associated with the moonstone. Of course, moonstone is something else, but yeah, selenite. It's a very popular stone. You're likely to find it at almost any rock and gem store that you come across. Check it out. You might find that it works for you. But with all that being covered, I want to jump right into the cards once again. We got a whole bunch of random cards, but they're not that random. Talking about what's been going on in the world. And I know I talk a lot about ushering in the Messianic age, and we are moving forward. It might not look that way for some time, but here's the thing. Since when has the media ever told the truth? We have to maintain the vision, and we have done it. We've done it. This path is moving forward. All we have to do now is just maintain a bit of faith, a bit of patience, and really just sit back and watch this movie unfold. So I hope you got your popcorn ready, because it's going to be a production and a half. So here we have criminal overlords, and do I need to say anything else? With the picture, we can definitely see what's going on. An inauguration. Any group that is both violent and criminal counts double towards your total number of groups controlled. You know what? I'm not going to say anything more about this card. I think everything's already been said. Anybody with eyes to see, with a conscience, knows what's going on, and doesn't need anybody else to point out the obvious corruption. But what I want to drive home is that the media has always distorted the facts. We know that. And right now, it's more obvious than ever. So how can we continue to buy the stories that the media is peddling when they've sabotaged their own credibility in such a way? How can we continue to buy the stories when we weren't buying them before? Why should we buy them now? Especially now. There are things going on behind the media screen that once they come to the surface, once we realize, it's going to shock all of us, including me. Trust me, everybody in the world is overdue for a wake-up call. I mean, we didn't need the new federal budget to be announced to know that. As we've seen, the U.S. government and governments around the world really, but particularly what's going on in the States, how they've funneled money and funds to other nations when their own citizens, when there's a domestic problem that needs to be addressed. People need compensation, especially for what the government has implemented without science, without I mean, the facts are always changing. I mean, do we have to wear the whole box now? But in the picture we see, I mean, of course, there's the United States flag on the side of the truck. But on the top, that flag, I would say it's similar to Cuba, but the colors are kind of reversed. And, I mean, it's stripes, not, maybe Panama. But whatever symbol is there, we see that they're just dumping the money down a hole. That money, nobody's ever going to see it again, but it's definitely going somewhere. Place an action token on each of your government groups which does not already have one. This card may be played at any time. This card does not benefit groups which are suffering from the effect of any card or special ability that prevents them from getting action tokens. So you know that money's going to pull some strings, and it's strings that for the most part we don't have control, especially us, the common person. We don't have control over it. And when we see this corruption happening on such a high level, what do you do? What do you do, right? You can't physically go in and change it. I mean, unless you resort to violence, and that usually has a way of backfiring when the momentum that they've established has already escalated to the heights where they've allowed it to. But we do have a power, and that's where manifesting comes in, because this realm, the seen, is absolutely influenced by the unseen. And when we can tap into the unseen realm, the causal realm, and access the quantum infinite source field, the source field where all possibilities are present, where every single probability is in fact a reality. We're talking about the logos, the pure source of all things, the data, the Akashic records where all information, all dimensions, and all possibilities exist. We download that through our imagination. Now, if we maintain that state, the thoughts and the words and the actions and subsequently all the events that unfold in our life by those actions that we take will conform with that state of being, with that end result. As those build one on top of each other, that reality starts to formulate, and we start to experience it more and more, day by day, little by little, until that is our new reality. Shifting realities takes time because we are embedded in a time-space continuum, but it's not impossible. In fact, it's what makes us different than most other creatures in this world, because we have the power of the frontal lobe. We have the power to choose conscious thought and actually choose a possibility that might not look real in the present moment, but to the brain, it doesn't know the difference between what you imagine and what you experience. The same neurotransmitters, the same hormones, the same stimulants are released. That's how the brain reacts, and that's how we can conform to a reality that might not exist in the physical right now, but we can download it, access it, and bridge the gap. Because it doesn't matter what they're doing. Talk is cheap. And especially when we have criminal overlords in charge of things like politics and the media, they're the ones with the microphones. They're the ones with the megaphones. I mean, who's the one on the soapbox talking the loudest, right? We just have to be grounded. We have to know our source, and we have to know that in consciousness, in awareness, we are the ones who are truly in charge. The lies don't matter. Solidarity. We must all hang together, or assuredly we shall all hang separately. Sound familiar?
You know, for the last 4 years, we were nothing but respectful to the impeached president, Donald Trump. And this is how he repays us?
You know, when I first got inaugurated into politics or whatever,
I totally looked up to the impeached president, Donald Trump, you know? It's like, I would always ask him for advice and whatnot, and he was my hero in junk, okay? I was nothing but nice to him. And this is how he repays America?
This just breaks my heart, It's like all I ever wanted to do was be Donald Trump's friend, and he just never wanted to be my friend. I tried so hard, I'm a Catholic, okay? I have a huge heart, and all I ever tried to do was make peace with that man. But he did not want to make peace with Nancy.
For the last 4 years, all I ever did was try to make peace with Donald Trump. Donald Trump don't want no peace. I walk up to him, I say, "Hey, Donald, let me get a hug." He pushed me away. He said, "Get out of here. This is MAGA country." I try every day to make peace with Donald Trump, I'm over here scratching my head what did I do wrong? I always wanted peace with that motherfucker. But he never wanted peace with me. I tried. I used to always pray during Kwanzaa for freedom. It's I would always pray for Trump, and it's I'd always pray for peace between me and Trump, It's I was always nice to Trump, and even Brett Kavanaugh. But then, they don't want no peace with me.
Me and my husband try so hard to make peace with Trump, but he say, no peace.
I made it a point every day to make peace with the impeached president. What's his name? But he refused to be friends with me.
Dude, I literally farted the whole time you were talking, bro. Can you smell it?
It smells like hot dogs and Chinese food.
Bang, 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 bang.
Because of the impeached president, I lost. I did everything for him, but all he thinks about is himself. Thanks for nothing. All we need is just one chance to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they will never take our freedom. Thank you. Thank you. I looked up to the impeached president for the last 4 years. I always thought he was a great man, I always allowed him to exercise his free speech on Facebook, but that wasn't until I heard him ask his followers to pee freely on the Capitol.
No, he asked his followers to peacefully leave the Capitol.
No, he asked them to pee freely on the Capitol and then leave, and for that, I'm erasing his Facebook account. No exceptions.
It's the very groups that have resisted. Just look at how they acted for the last 4 years. They didn't expect what happened because it really threw a wrench in their plans, and they had to maintain and regain their composure, regain the public eye, and it seems like they've done that. But mind you, like I said, the media is just the person with the loudest voice. And if we look at any other example from the media, we can totally see the lies. We can totally see the corruption, the manipulation, the way they demean the audience and condescend them and act like you don't know any better. You need us to tell you what to think. Other people are stupid. And there are some networks that have outright come out and said this because they have no alibi. They have to resort to ad hominem attacks. They have to resort to this kind of low blows in order to maintain their control. And they've kind of seized the reins for a little bit, but in this wrestling they're going to prove themselves way more than anybody ever needs to see. But they need to see it to know the difference, to choose a side, because if you choose the side of wrongdoing and erring now after seeing them for who they are, well, you deserve to be duped, and let's just say that. But I know that none of you guys on this channel are like that. All of us with eyes to see, ears to hear, and a mind to think, we see the truth for what it is. We make up our own mind. And we know that not everything that we see is what it looks like, because we know that there are manipulators that are manipulating the manipulators. Just think of what their bosses are saying. You think these reporters want to report the lies? Guess what? Their boss is making them an offer they can't refuse. You either join hands with us in solidarity, or those hands never touch anything again. Play this card at the beginning of your turn. You may draw 2 extra plot cards, not from your deck, but from the deck of a rival. Threats. Threats. That's the only backup they really have. Or you may take 1 card each from 2 rivals' plot decks. To do this, you must give up your chance to draw any group cards this turn. And of course, this doesn't just apply to the media. This applies to anything. If they see that you have something they want, even if it's something as small as, say, a business or even a TV show. People with TV shows, I mean, look at what happened to Roseanne Barr.
It's like what happened to you and your show, Roseanne. I mean, you have given us so much laughter and insight and profound joy for so many years. And because
that was a psyop, and you got me through that. I did lose my mind about 40 different ways, but you're one of the people who got me through that. I barely survived it.
It's horrible what they did to you, because you were telling truth and you were making us laugh at truth. And then when your new show was supporting Trump and supporting our great nation over the New World Order agenda, when you're standing up against human trafficking and what's being done to the children, you took a shot for all of us. I mean, it's heroic what you did and what you endured. It's amazing how you brought so much truth to light all these years. And you took the first hard shot from the media, and everybody knew it. Everybody saw it, and it was so unfair. It was like saying, if you stand up for truth, if you stand up for America, if you stand up for the president that we, the people, elected, then you're going to be silenced. You were the first who was silenced, and now all of us are being silenced. Everybody's seeing it, and they're looking back on that going, wow, ABC was just controlling what we get to watch, and they're
well, they were saying that it was a foreshadowing what they did to me to silence me and steal my show is before they stole the vote.
Exactly.
It's just, you know what? It's just a class war. It's a war on the working class and punishing the working class for electing Trump. That's it that's it in a nutshell. Huh?
It was punishing free thinkers, and telling us we're not allowed to voice what we stand for. We're not allowed to tell truth. We're not allowed to do any of that. The media made it very clear. You were the very first one who had to take the hit, but it opened so many eyes because people looked at it and went, wow, ABC, Disney, she was standing against human trafficking. And now they're looking at how the media is telling us what to think on all fronts. They're telling us, they're deciding the election for us. They're doing everything they can to disrupt free thought and stop people from being able to think further.
Look at what happened to Dave Chappelle. You mean to tell me that these people didn't figure something out?
Martin Lawrence was in that chair. We talked about Blue Streak.
I love that dude.
He played a role in your life, I believe. How do you feel about him as a person, as an artist?
Martin Lawrence is the guy that showed everybody you can make it from D.C. to Hollywood. And I had a personal stake in his success. Every time he did something, it made me feel inspired and really good. And he was always real nice to me. He'd sit me down, what's going on with you, baby boy? What? We'd talk about comedy, whatever. And, when we did Blue Streak, we were promoting it, and Martin had a stroke. He almost died. And then after that, I saw him, and I was like, oh my God, Martin, are you okay? And he said, I got the best sleep I ever got in my life. That's how tough he is. So let me ask you this. What is happening in Hollywood that a guy that tough will be on the street waving a gun, screaming, they are trying to kill me?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why is Dave Chappelle going to Africa? Why does Mariah Carey make a $100 million deal and take her clothes off on TRL? A weak person cannot get to sit here and talk to you. Ain't no weak people talking to you. So what is happening in Hollywood? Nobody knows. The worst thing to call somebody is crazy, is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. That's bullshit. These people are not crazy. They're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick.
And they're the ones that came out and spoke out against this and Immediately, they were blacklisted. They lost their show. They disappeared. Dave Chappelle showed up looking completely different, all buff and wearing different. I mean, this guy's a scrawny stoner wearing like wool hoodies, and now he's wearing leather jackets and looking all buff. Don't kid me, man. Don't kid me. I saw his comedy before he left, and I saw his comedy when he returned. You can't fool me, you know? And who knows? Who knows? Because once you join them, they might actually really give you an offer you can't refuse. Like immortality serum. I've heard CIA whistleblowers mention things like this. They even mention a patch that they'll install on you, and they have to keep replenishing the chemicals in that patch, because once that is administered into your body, into your system, you have to maintain that, otherwise you're going to die. And that's how they keep people in their control. But this card, Immortality Serum, says, by the way, if you join us, you can live forever. Interested? And I'm not going to get into whether that's actually going on with celebrities that we've seen. And of course, there's been people saying that people fake their deaths. Sometimes the same person with the same kind of face and the same kind of thing will reappear a generation later under a different name and still be in the public eye. But, you know, they're the same kind of face and they've been in the public eye. I mean, I've seen crazy claims where even Michael Jackson was from the time of Egypt. But I'm not going to really get into that because a lot of that's conjecture. A lot of that is speculation. And when I really delve into one of these subjects, I like to have some facts to present that actually show that at least maybe things are not what they seem. But this card goes on to say this card may be used for one personality. Keep it unlinked until it is used. The link remains if the personality is captured from you. You may use it to take control of any just played personality, including one from another player's hand. No die roll is required. Link the card to that personality. Now, nothing, in italics, nothing can kill that personality, including destruction of a place he's linked to. Does that include explosions? He also has +5 against ordinary attacks to destroy. You may also link it to a personality you control. Very interesting. Of course, there might be some nuances of the game that don't apply to real life, but the very fact that this card exists means that there's people that have been investigating this. I mean, immortality's age-old. Age-old. Since man discovered that he could die, he's wanted not to die. But why he'd want to continue on in this dimension beats me, especially after you've seen the other dimensions. Let's just say you must be coming from a lower dimension to actually find this dimension appealing. But for a lot of us who are starseeds and even just plain old truthers, right? As soon as we learn a bit of the truth, we realize, not everything's the way it seems, and the truth is much, much more appealing and stranger than fiction, you know? But it's in doing so and realizing that that's the case that we can truly step into our infinite potential, because our potential supersedes and transcends the limits of this physical dimension. And we can't look at circumstances and say, okay, based on this, what's possible? What can we do? Where can we go from here? Really, I mean, that's one way forward, but the true potential lies in just tapping into our imagination, tapping into that infinite source field. And when you open yourself up to true source, when you invite God into your heart, source will actually funnel and download the purest visions for you and bring those alive within your soul. Once those are in your mind, that's what faith is. Once it's activated, you really see the end from the beginning, and you abide in that end, and you start creating that end before you even get there. That's what this show is. I've seen the end, I've seen a light, and it's already manifesting. I didn't plan this show. I just set forth a vision. I maintain that vision within me, and one of the manifestations is this show. That's just how it happens, and that's what happens when we tap into source and we allow it to flow through us. We are not the source. We are not the power, but we can channel the power. We allow it to flow through and to the world. That is the true power, because when the power flows through us, that's when inventions are created. That's when discoveries are found. That's when all these ideas, that's why Tesla says, you know what? It doesn't bother me that they stole my ideas. It bothers me that they can't really access this potential for themselves. There's an infinite sea of inventions not even heard of. It says, no eye has seen or ear has heard what God has prepared for those who love him. Those who love him means those who abide with source, who has invited them as a part of their expression. Now, when you express the true power of source this way into the world, people will think you're magic. People will think, they'll call you the Messiah. And that's what's happening when this anointing just moves. They don't have to do anything. It just exposes the corruption. It parts the Red Sea. It brings fire down from heaven, right? These supernatural, like completely out of this world things that we haven't even seen before, you know, but it's not something extraordinary. It's actually just who we are. We are B'nai Elohim. Greater works than what I do, Jesus said, you shall do too. Now, how is that even possible when he went on to raise somebody from the dead that was dead for 4 days? When he just says something and 20 miles away at that same instant, the person who was sick is immediately better. You know, and we see this after the ascension when the disciples are walking by the temple and they see a man crippled from birth. And Peter just reaches out his hand and he's like, I got no money, but here, stand up and walk. The guy not only stood up, but he went walking and leaping. And this is going on in the world today. People are tapping into this energy and releasing it and bringing it into the world. The world is hungry for the true power, to remember who we as humans actually were created to be. And with the sea of misinformation, manipulation, and mind control, how is it possible that anybody can see through the lies? People who have seen the truth just need to shine their light. If the media is talking, just do a bit of your part. And I'm not saying, hey, join me. I'm saying the light is the light. The truth is absolute. If you have a piece of truth, shine, because that light will act as a beacon, as a lighthouse to bring people back to the truth. It will congregate. And once this age really dawns, and it's already dawning, people are already seeking out truth. They're not putting up with lies anymore. It might look that way when you go out in the store and you see everybody with a muzzle on their face, but the fact of the matter is that people know something's going on. They know it's fake. And especially us truthers, we know all about the pedophile rings. You know, I mean, how is it, talking about criminal overlords, how is it that the sentences for pedophilia are almost negligible compared to murder or even rape, right? So it's not just crimes of a sexual nature. It's specifically things that are protected by not just the prosecutors, but the whole legislation system. The whole judicial system really runs the show, and they're the most corrupt. But in the physical 3D space-time, it's represented by the seventh heaven, the final barrier before we break that firmament and enter into a broader awareness, a 5D perspective. But that seventh heaven is ruled by Lord Saturn, the Lord of time and the Lord of judgment, the physical reality. And believe it or not, it's actually to this office that the knee of the military bows, the knee of the government bows, the knee of the media bows.
Arise. The trial of Commander Kelly. It is a day that I have long awaited. How do you plan to ensure her guilt?
The people's voting system is being reprogrammed. They will think she is guilty by their own decree.
And what of the remaining rebels?
My spies have discovered that a secret Super Kid headquarters exists somewhere in the city. My troops are getting closer even as we speak.
Excellent.
Good news tonight from the High Judicial Council. Lawmaster Beliar, senior enemy law enforcer, has announced the capture and the arrest of the terrorist Commander Kelly. Make that alleged terrorist. In the swift pursuit of justice, Commander Kelly and possibly another recently captured co-conspirator will face a people's tribunal in the High Judicial Council Hall. The expected guilty verdict should come sometime tomorrow. This is I Am Biased reporting for NME News.
The people who pull the strings don't want you to know that they're pulling the strings, and that's why they got their puppets.
What? Where's my loyal subjects? Where's my cabinet? Where are you? My cabinet? My loyal subjects? Where are you? Where are you? Come back! I need you!
Would you like to join them?
What do you mean? I'm the leader of this country and president of the 8th Grade Camera Club.
You are not a president. You are nothing but a puppet ruler.
Me? A puppet ruler? I don't believe it.
I can make you do anything I want. Absolutely anything. I can make you dance. I can make you sit or kneel. Or I can take away your power like this.
So yeah, it is an ugly game that these criminal overlords are playing. But guess what? Even that game has rules. And when they're caught, which is happening right now, a lot of it has already happened. Just have to be patient. We don't have to do anything. We just have to maintain that faith and just shine your light in the meantime. Shine your light in the meantime. We don't need a lot of people to bring this movement forward. In the true infinite potential of Source, there's no restraint to save by many or by few. So don't really worry, because worry is the vibration. It's the state of being that creates more to be worried about. The first thing that every angel has ever said when they appeared to somebody that they had to bestow with a mission was, "Fear not, fear not." And then when the person with the vision would ask the angel questions, the angel would ask them, "Why do you want to know this?" Why? Because intention, state of being, that intrinsic expectation that we have as to how events will unfold, whether we expect a certain outcome or not, it's that anticipation of either an uneasy feeling or a feeling of comfort and fulfillment. Whether we maintain one or the other will manifest as situations that we'll either have to work out of or that we'll enjoy. So with that being said, I want to actually share a little clip from Cryon. This was published last year at one of his events, and he's talking about the situations that we had to experience over the last year. And he explains that even though it looks like a huge upheaval, it looks like things are going wrong, it is actually exposing things in such a way that we will never go back to the way things were. It is changing things on a level that once we see them for what they are, we're already going to create the next step.
We've said this before. Every angel that has come and had things to say, the first thing it said was, "Fear not, fear not." And if they wish to, they could understand it. There's always the free choice to believe it or not believe it. And in this room, I spoke of the virus which continues to move around the planet. But there are those now, as it grows and grows, who are saying things like, "Cryon, why is this happening to a planet that is supposed to go into an area of higher consciousness? How could this be?" 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You are currently in the step back. What did you think it would look like? Did you think it would simply be a walk in the park, as they say, where an entire planet changes consciousness? And the answer is that you did not bring this as a punishment. And there are so many who go right to that place And they will think that because of the doctrines they have studied and all of the scriptures they have read, that God is a punishing God, and therefore you must have done something horrible. What if this was a cleansing? What if this was a wild card? What if, when the dust clears, this planet will be different? What if? It changes the geopolitical structure. It changes what people think, because they'll know a grander truth when it's over that they did not know before it began. And this was the hint I gave you before, the things to look at, and I'll say it again. Diseases are not political. They do what they do. Watch, examine, review, see where it came from and where it went to first, and it tells a story. It tells a bigger story that you're not going to like later. And there are those who actually tried to stop it, and you'll see that later. And it's here anyway. The pandemic is not of a disease, it's a fear. And the fear spreads that it would touch you in certain ways, even though the vast majority will recover completely and totally in a small amount of time. It still will take you and make you afraid. And so the question is this, not why it's here, not what to do about getting rid of it, because it will pass. It will pass. The question really is this: what are you supposed to do, light worker, right now? What is the task of the light worker? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. What are you supposed to do, light worker? I'll tell you right now. Listen. This is why you're here. Number 1, stay safe. Stay safe. Because you're not going to be able to achieve much in sickness. Stay safe. It's not that hard. Stay safe. And as this plays out, be aware of those around you who are wringing their hands and shortening their lifespan because of the fear they're in, not knowing what to do next and turning from place to place and pacing up and down and wondering what's happening to them and their family and this planet or this country. That's where you step in. And you soothe them and give them compassion and tell them stories if you need to. Comfort them, be with them, sit with them, so they can see you're not afraid, but you're safe. That you're using common sense in all things and staying safe. And knowing that this is a passing thing and not forever. And that whatever happens today, they'll come out of it tomorrow. This is what light workers do. This is the lighthouse on the rock. That where there's light, there's safety. You're a lighthouse. So that you can change it, so you can temper it, so you can save lives by comforting them. Because there is so much fear here. I'll tell you what this planet is learning right now. They're learning a lot about the media and its part. They're learning how a media can make it worse. They're learning how a media can take lives by frightening people to death. That's what they're learning. You'll come from this a better place. It's starting to reveal a more compassionate planet. Listen, there are those who are worried that there will be amazing things, especially in certain countries where they'll gather their guns and they'll put together a place and hold their position because they expect that the public is going to attack for food. What if I told you the opposite? What if this is becoming a kinder, compassionate planet right now, where neighbors are helping neighbors and people are greeting each other at a 1 meter distance? Different from any time in the planet's history, looking at one another and saying, we're going to make it through this. We love you. We're going to be okay. We love you. If you need help, let us know. We'll do our best under the circumstances. And there's very few that say, well, where's my gun? Not today. Not today. This is a message that says, light workers, you trained for it. It's here. Get through this and you move forward. with a different planet, with a different consciousness. People are going into self-introspection right now and saying, could it be there's something bigger that I missed? Could it be that consciousness is starting to change? And maybe this was all part of that. Be circumspect. Don't hide out any more than you have to. When you're allowed out, you help people. If you meet them in the store, you help them. If they look like they are in trouble, you can speak to them. You don't have to touch them yet. You can speak to them. Are you okay? Talk to me. What are you worried about? Think about these things, dear ones, because you carry a light of comfort. That is your lineage. It's why you're here. It's why you're interested enough to listen to this message or be in this room. Dear ones, you're going to get through this. This is just the peak of it, starting now. You're going to get through this. Stay safe. But dear ones, this is starting to be a more compassionate planet, and it starts today. Know these things. Go from this place differently than you came, with perspectives that might be very different than you ever expected. There's going to be no more normal on this planet. And so it is.
So let's not get all bent out of shape. We all have an ability to shine our light. And the exposure, I'm not going to lie, it's been painful for me, for everybody I know, but even for me, with the awareness I have, with the faith that I have, and the expectations and the visions that I've seen, even then, it's been a roller coaster of a ride. The politics exposing themselves for who they are, with the media and, of course, big tech and all the puppets on the string, we're seeing manipulation happen at a scale that we never thought we'd ever see it happen. We thought that this stuff was going on in the Dark Ages, and we thought this stuff might go on, during the reign of the Antichrist. But we never thought that this would happen in the world, where everything's fine. We're all living our day to day. We all have good jobs. Materialism is flourishing. We never thought we'd see something like this. But we're seeing the manipulation for what it is. We're seeing the lies. We're seeing them come after you. How the story, the narrative they're peddling is just there to lock you up, to silence you, because that expression of truth is how we as light workers shine our light, how we are those beacons that he spoke of as lighthouses, shining for others to find their way. It's in this whole operation of control and silencing the population that the media has exposed themselves for who they really are, what their actual agenda and their purpose really is. They've exposed that the true virus is not one that wipes out 2/3 of the population, but it's the fear. It's the fear that we're just sitting around waiting for it to go. We're waiting for someone to tell us that it's okay.
People keep saying, I can't wait until this COVID thing is over. I can't wait until we don't have to wear masks anymore. They sit and they wait. They're terrified. They wait for instructions while the life they once knew vanished before their very eyes. They sit and they wait for the man on TV to tell them it's okay. It's safe, everyone! Take off your masks! Go outside! Go back to school! Go back to work! Everything is back to normal! No more 6 feet apart! No more waiting in lines! No more social distancing! It's over! You're free! How can you allow this to go on? Don't you understand? Can't you see it? Comply! Wear a mask! I won't comply. That's what you tell your friends. But they got you. Oh, they got you. Look in the mirror. They transformed you into an obedient socialist without any effort whatsoever. They got you. You scream, I have my rights, but you'll do what they say. They control you. They own you. Don't you know what you are? You're a puppet, a slave, a number. Brainwashed and reporting for duty. It could be worse, right? Right? You patiently wait for your next set of instructions. You wait to be told where you can go and what you can do. You're frozen, afraid to leave the couch. You've traded your freedom, your family, your friends, and your life for orders. You don't know how to function without them. You're beside yourself. You've been programmed to put that mask on, to follow orders, to listen, to cooperate, to stand in line, to be afraid. That mask is now a part of you. Your comfort food, your patch of honor, the mark of your obedience. I'll never wear a mask, but then quickly comply after being ordered by a grocery store employee to do so. With no scientific premise whatsoever. You assimilated purely out of fear. You gave your life to them. They control every aspect of your existence, and you don't question a thing. Let the brainwashing begin. You yell, "Release the Kraken!" but then quickly bow down to their demands. Thanksgiving is canceled! There won't be a Christmas! The lockdown continues! Do as we say, not as we do. For 8 months, they took away your freedom, and you just stood there and let them take it! It's happening again! Get back to your house! You will comply! It's what you've been trained to do! First, it was the seatbelt. Then the car seat, the helmet, and now the mask. What will they think of next?
And you honestly think these guys are ever going to say that? It's always going to get worse. They're always going to want to take more control because they are the controllers. They are the manipulators. We just have to reclaim our control. We have to reclaim our dominion, our authority, step into our own sovereignty. As kings, priests, and prophets of this realm, denizens of the earth, take back our control, and then we can run the show the way that we know we're deserving of and create the world that we know we're capable of making, capable of living in, and capable of seeing our children, grandchildren, and future generations thriving in. That's the whole point of this exposure, is to clean up the mess and to establish a new trajectory. Change our bearing and realize where we were going. Sure, there were problems with that. It didn't make sense. We didn't know any better. Now we do know better. Let's steer this vehicle around. We got to take the reins back, and we're doing that through awareness. And it doesn't take all of us to do it because most people will be complacent. They'll still be buying the bullshit, but we can step up. We can step up and start shining that light. Start shining that light, and the day has already dawned. Fog is still kind of there, hovering on the ground, still kind of obscuring the vision. But as we shine, we'll start to realize, hey, other people are shining too. And as the sun rises and the day warms up, that fog is going to evaporate. And pretty soon we'll realize that, hey, we weren't as alone as we thought we were. There are a lot of other light workers out there that we didn't even know they were shining their light because they weren't given a chance on these platforms to really proclaim it. I mean, look at how the algorithm works. I can talk about my own channel and how the subscription rate and how YouTube manipulates all that. But really, that's not relevant. Like I said, there's no restraint with Source to save by many or by few. It's always one or two people with a profound vision, a link to Source, and the connection to that data bank where we can download those infinite possibilities that changes it for the whole world. Both good and bad change this way. So let's step into our light, because the light always overpowers the darkness and it always burns away the dross. As long as it shines bright and hot enough, it will conquer the world and it will overtake humanity, because we're stepping into our true light in the Christic era, in the Messianic age. That is what this new age is all about. It's not about some occult woo-woo stuff. It's about God setting up the kingdom of heaven on the earth. So don't fear when you see these globalists setting up their kingdom and trying to manipulate the markets and politics in the world, trying to manipulate wars and all, because they're still moving towards that final end where the kingdom that is established over the whole earth is a kingdom of righteousness. It's not going to come from the minds of men, but men are going to set it up and harmonize in such a way where we all are come together, you know, like how the airplane brought everybody closer together, the television brought everybody closer together. They've been used as manipulative tools to take people away from source. But once they're established, how easy is it to broadcast something on the media? Once you take control of the media, to change the whole narrative. Once these systems are set up, so don't worry about the momentum that they're establishing, because it's only being established for when we as light workers take it over. When the kingdom of heaven really is established, it's all going to be set up. And like it says, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. They're busy hoarding and gathering and doing all this work for us, and we're just sitting back manifesting. And with open arms, we can receive it when our time comes. So with that being said, I want to wish everybody an amazing day. Stay optimistic, because we are moving forward. And in the meantime, you can take this time to really gain a perspective on how you as an individual have a purpose, how you can shine that light in your own unique way, because only you can bring the light in your unique way. Of course, the light itself transcends all human personalities, but each one of us has a distinct flavor to bring to that table. So let's do it and create a really interesting meal for everybody to enjoy in this new era. Have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next video. Joel signing out once again. Agape, salaam, namaste. My, woo woo.